Leo Puglisi is the founder and chief anchor of 6 News, a news streaming channel run by teenagers. And Leo joins me now. Good morning, Leo. Thanks for your time.
Good to be here.
Now, how is this ban going to impact you and your business operations with News 6?
Yeah, well, I'm lucky that I am 17, so just over it. But we have some members of the team who are currently affected by this, and we'll work around to see whether we can still work with them on platforms like Twitter. I know obviously there's still 12 months for implementation, but also we've been built up by having 13, 14, 15-year-olds see our work and then join to explore their passions in journalism and media. So it really restricts our growth. And I think generally for young people, it restricts creativity.
So you've got an issue on both sides, supply and demand here, in that you have young journalists that work with you who are under 16, and you're saying that a lot of your content is actually consumed by people who are under 16 on platforms such as Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, far from a majority, of course, there's only so many 13 to 15-year-olds in Australia, but definitely on platforms like Instagram and TikTok especially, there's a lot of a younger audience there, which we try to tailor our content towards more so than on like Facebook. And the reality is, you know, young people are getting their news from social media, from platforms like 6 News and other platforms on social media. So it takes away a lot of their ability to find out news if they follow it on these platforms.
Do you appreciate, Leo, that something needed to happen when you look at all the stories that were coming out about the harms that social media was causing some young people?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't think there's any doubt that something needed to happen about this problem. The problem is this ban doesn't do anything. All that harmful content still exists. Kids who bypass it, and I think they absolutely will bypass it, are going to find less resources maybe if they need to report something, because technically they're not supposed to be on there. And so all that content is actually still on there. This doesn't address it. It just kind of looks like it's addressing it. I think that's a real concern. We've got a big opportunity to work and potentially stop some of this harmful content and make platforms actually safer and online spaces safer for young people, but I just don't think this ban does it.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I want to speak to you about there. You mentioned about young people kind of circumventing the rules. How easy is it? Do you think that kids under 16 are going to find the content, you know, where there's a will, there's a way?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you tell a young person not to do something, I think they're a lot more likely to do it. You know, my younger brother's 14 years old. I'm sure he'll spend the next 12 months figuring out how to get around it. Ultimately, you know, with no digital ID, according to the government last night, unless you're doing facial recognition, I really struggle to see how this could be enforced with anything more than checking a box to say you're over a certain age, which is basically what we have now. And then you have to wonder what this whole 12 months of debate's been for.
So what would you have preferred to see then, Leo?
It's a good question. I think the government said there's no silver bullet. I would agree with that. I think you've got to have better education for young people on how to stay safe online, not just to never use it. Better education and resources for parents so they can understand social media a bit better. You've got to work with these platforms to make online spaces safer for young people, whether that is working with them or forcing them. But really, you have to remember there are vulnerable young kids here who use social media for really important reasons. Maybe they don't have a safe school or home life, and they use social media as an escape to find friends, to find communities, to explore their interests. That's going to be taken away, and I think that's a real concern.
We know that this legislation, Leo, doesn't cover all platforms, including some messaging apps and gaming. Are those areas that then you might look to take your 6 News information?
Oh, well, we'll see if we can, you know, advertise in GTA chat rooms or something like that. But look, we're going to explore around this, and I think it is interesting. In some ways, it's going to present an interesting opportunity. But we're going to continue working on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., because we've still got a big audience over the age of 16 as well. And it's interesting to see what platforms are included. You know, we've had back and forth about Snapchat and YouTube, and over the next 12 months, who knows if that'll change. But I really look forward to seeing those developments.
Leo, it's always great speaking with you. I've sort of been doing that for the last couple of years and seeing your 6 News grow. So now you're 17, you're above the law for this one, but you weren't for quite some time, and indeed all those people that you work with. So, Leo, thanks very much for your perspective on this.
Anytime. Thank you so much.